This is the Sci-Fi Griot. I'm your host, Nicholas Cunningham. Over the last two episodes, we've explored leadership through two very different lenses. Benjamin Sisko showed us what it means to lead inside a system, carrying responsibility, compromise, and consequence. Captain Catherine Janeway showed us what leadership looks like without a system, when values are the only thing holding a community together. So today, we step into a universe that asks an even harder question. What happens when the system itself becomes the problem? Today, we're leaving Star Trek and entering Babylon 5. And we're talking about Captain John Sheridan. Who is Captain John Sheridan? When we first meet John Sheridan in Points of Departure, Season 2, Episode 1, he isn't a revolutionary. He's a soldier, a tactician, a loyal officer of Earth Force. Sheridan believes in the system. He believes problems can be fixed from within, that institution may stumble, but they can be corrected. That belief matters because Babylon 5 isn't interested in heroes who start out enlightened. It's interested in showing how people change. Sheridan begins as a man who trusts authority and ends as someone who understands its limits. Babylon 5 doesn't show tyranny over arriving overnight. It shows it creeping in through emergency powers, through security measures, through fear. Episodes like Season 2, Episode 15, and Now for a Word, and Season 2, Episode 22, The Fall of Night, makes this clear. EarthGov begins to centralize authority, control information, reframe dissent as disloyalty. And here's what makes Babylon 5 unsettling. Most of it feels reasonable at first. This isn't villainy, it's rationalization. And Sheridan watches it happen in real time. There's a moment every leader faces, whether in fiction or real life, a moment when neutrality stopped being safe. For Sheridan, that moment crystallizes in Several Dreams, Season 3, Episode 10. Earth Force orders him to surrender Babylon 5. He's told it's about order, about stability, about preventing chaos. But Captain Sheridan understands what's really being asked: obedience. And Babylon 5 asks a question Star Trek rarely does. What if following orders is the immoral choice? Sheridan realizes neutrality is no longer a position, it's complicity. And once that realization hits, there's no going back. Captain Sheridan's decision to break from Earth isn't a dramatic heroism, it's isolation. He becomes a traitor to his own government. He becomes a target of propaganda. He becomes a symbol he didn't ask to be. In Messages from Earth, Season 3, Episode 7, and Severed Dreams, Babylon 5 shows us the cost of resistance. There is no applause, there is no reassurance, only risk. Sheridan isn't choosing rebellion because it feels good. He chooses it because the alternative would mean surrendering his conscience. One of Babylon's 5 most powerful episodes is Intersection in Real Time, Season 4, Episode 11. Captain Sheridan is imprisoned and interrogated, not for information, but for belief. The goal isn't truth, it's compliance. The interrogator doesn't need Sheridan to be wrong. He needs him to admit that resistance itself is illegitimate. This is one of Babylon 5's clearest warnings that power doesn't always try to convince you. Sometimes it tries to break you. Sheridan survived not only by overpowering the system, but by refusing to surrender his moral center. Captain Sheridan's journey reaches its peak in episodes like Zehadum, Season 3, Episode 22. He sacrifices certainty, safety, even his life temporarily. And Babylon 5 does something unusual here. It doesn't guarantee that resistance leads to a clean victory. There are losses that don't get undone, consequences that don't reset. This is leadership without a safety net. Sheridan doesn't fight because he knows he'll win. He fights because not fighting would mean accepting a future built on fear and lies. Captain Sheridan stands apart from Star Trek captains. Picard argues within the system. Cisco compromises inside it. And Captain Janeway preserves values in isolation. Sheridan breaks away, not to seize power, but to prevent it from being abused. He represents leadership as resistance, the willingness to say, this system no longer reflects the value it claims to protect. That's a dangerous position, and Babylon 5 refuses to make it easy. Captain Sheridan matters because his story feels uncomfortably familiar. We live in a world where authority demands loyalty. Dissent is framed as betrayal. Truth becomes negotiable, and fear is politically useful. Babylon 5 reminds us that systems don't collapse when bad people take over. They collapse when good people decide resistance is too costly. Sheridan teaches us that leadership isn't always about building something new. Sometimes it's about refusing to cooperate with what's broken. Across these 3 episodes, we've seen leadership from 3 angles. Cisco shows us the cost of compromise. Janeway showed us the burdens of endurance. Sheridan shows us the price of resistance. Different futures, different choices, but the same question underneath them all. What do you do when power asks you to abandon your values? Babylon 5 doesn't promise easy victories. It promises something more honest. That leadership matters most when obedience feels safer than courage. Leadership under pressure always reveals something. What we've seen again and again is that survival demands choices. And those choices come with a cost. So the question we'll sit with next isn't about who leads. It's about what we're willing to give up to keep going. And that's where we're headed next. This has been the Sci-Fi Griot, a place to slow down, to reflect, and to imagine carefully.